My phone buzzed at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday with a notification that changed everything. Urgent, estate attorney. Please call immediately regarding Robert Chen memorial service. I stared at the screen, my coffee growing cold in my hands. Memorial service? My father had died 3 weeks ago, and we'd already had his funeral. Or at least, I thought we had. The lawyer's name was unfamiliar, and the area code was from my hometown, a place I'd left behind years ago for good reason. When I called the number back, the receptionist put me through immediately. Ms. Chen? This is David Morrison from Morrison & Associates. I've been trying to reach you about your father's memorial service scheduled for this Saturday. We have some important documents to review with you beforehand. I'm sorry, I said, my voice barely steady. What memorial service? My father's funeral was 3 weeks ago. There was a pause. Ma'am, according to my records, the memorial service is this Saturday at 2 p.m. at Riverside Chapel. Your mother, Linda Chen, organized it. She said you'd be attending. My hands started shaking. My mother told you I'd be there? Yes. In fact, she specifically mentioned you'd be handling some of the estate matters. That's why I need to speak with you urgently. I'm Jessica Chen, 31. I work as a financial analyst for a tech company in Seattle, Washington. I spend my days analyzing data patterns and catching discrepancies in financial reports. I never thought I'd need those skills to uncover what my own family was hiding from me. But as I hung up that phone, I realized something was very wrong. My mother hadn't spoken to me since the day after Dad's funeral, when she'd made it clear I wasn't welcome at any family gatherings. So why would she tell a lawyer I'd be at a memorial service I knew nothing about? If you want to know what happened next, keep listening. To understand why that phone call felt like a punch to the gut, you need to know about my family dynamics. My mother, Linda, had always divided her children into 2 categories. My older brother, Kevin, the golden child who could do no wrong, and me, the disappointment who never quite measured up. Kevin got the praise, the college fund, the family business opportunities. I got criticism, hand-me-downs, and lectures about being grateful for what I had. When Kevin dropped out of college to pursue his art, Mom called it following his passion. When I changed my major from pre-med to finance, she told everyone I'd given up on my dreams. The pattern was set early. I remember being 12 years old, sitting at the kitchen table doing homework, when Mom got off the phone with Kevin's teacher. She was beaming. Kevin's teacher says he's so creative, so special. She's never had a student like him. Then she looked at me, still struggling with my math homework, and said, "Why can't you be more like your brother? He makes everything look so easy." That line stuck with me for 20 years. Why can't you be more like your brother? But here's what my mother never understood. Being constantly compared to Kevin taught me to be self-reliant. While he was getting bailed out of every mistake, I was learning to solve my own problems. I worked part-time jobs through high school, earned scholarships for college, and built a career in finance because I was good with numbers and patterns. My dad, Robert, was different. He was quiet, methodical, and fair. He worked as an accountant for 30 years and taught me that numbers don't lie. They tell stories if you know how to read them. When Mom would criticize my choices, Dad would quietly slip me encouragement. "You're doing fine, Jess," he'd say. "Trust your instincts." Dad was the one who helped me understand compound interest when I was 16. He showed me how to read financial statements and taught me that financial independence was the key to freedom. "Don't ever let anyone control you through money," he'd tell me. "Build your own security." By the time I graduated college, I'd already landed a job at a financial firm in Seattle. I moved across the country, bought my own apartment, and built a life that didn't depend on my family's approval. I thought I was done caring about their opinion of me. But when Dad got sick last year, everything changed. He'd been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and the prognosis wasn't good. I flew home immediately, and spent every weekend for 6 months helping him get his affairs in order. We went through his financial records, updated his will, and made sure everything was properly documented. During one of those visits, Dad pulled me aside. "Jess, I need you to know something. Your mother doesn't handle financial matters well. When I'm gone, she's going to need help. But I've made sure you're protected." "What do you mean, protected?" "The house, the savings accounts, the life insurance. I've structured everything so it's fair. Kevin's had plenty of help over the years. It's your turn." I didn't ask for details. Dad was still alive, and talking about inheritance felt wrong. But I trusted him. He'd always been the one person in my family who treated me fairly. Then he died on a Thursday morning in February. I got the call from Mom at 6 a.m. "Your father's gone," she said, her voice flat. "Funeral's Monday, Riverside Chapel." But that wasn't even the worst part. The funeral was exactly what I expected. A room full of Dad's coworkers and old friends. Kevin giving a speech about what a great father Dad had been, and Mom playing the grieving widow. I sat in the second row, behind the immediate family, even though I was immediate family too. After the service, people came up to me with condolences. "Your father was so proud of you," they'd say. "He talked about your career all the time." It was nice to hear, but it also made me realize how little my own family acknowledged my accomplishments. The reception was at Mom's house, the house where I'd grown up feeling like an outsider. Kevin worked the room like a politician, accepting sympathy and talking about Dad's legacy. Mom sat in her chair, receiving visitors like a queen holding court. I tried to help in the kitchen, but Mom's sister, my Aunt Carol, shooed me away. "We've got this handled, Jessica. Why don't you go mingle?" Translation: "You're not really part of this family, so don't pretend to be helpful." I left early, flying back to Seattle the next morning. Mom didn't call to say goodbye. Kevin didn't text to thank me for coming. It was like I'd never been there at all. For 3 weeks, I heard nothing from my family. No calls about Dad's affairs, no questions about his financial records, no discussion about the will. I figured they were handling everything without me, which hurt, but wasn't surprising. Then that lawyer called. After hanging up with David Morrison, I immediately called my mother. It went straight to voicemail. I tried Kevin. Same thing. I sent texts to both of them. "Just heard about a memorial service this Saturday. What's going on?" No response. I called the lawyer back. "Mr. Morrison, can you tell me more about this memorial service? I'm confused because we already had a funeral." "Well, according to your mother, this is a separate memorial service for close family and business associates. She said your father had specifically requested it in his will. There are some estate documents that need to be signed by all beneficiaries." "Beneficiaries?" "Yes, you, your brother Kevin, and your mother. The will reading is scheduled for right after the memorial service." My blood went cold. "There's going to be a will reading?" "Of course. Your father's estate needs to be probated. I assumed you knew about this." I hung up and immediately booked a flight to my hometown. Something was happening, and whatever it was, my family had deliberately kept me in the dark about it. That's when I realized what this was really about. I landed in my hometown Friday evening and drove straight to Mom's house. Her car was in the driveway, along with Kevin's truck. The living room lights were on, and I could see shadows moving around inside. They were home, but they weren't answering their phones. I knocked on the front door. Kevin answered, and his face went white when he saw me. "Jess, what are you doing here?" "I'm here for Dad's memorial service tomorrow, the one nobody told me about." Kevin looked over his shoulder, then stepped outside and closed the door behind him. "Look, this is kind of a family thing. Mom thought it would be better if what? If I wasn't there? You live so far away, and you've got your own life. We didn't want to burden you with another trip." I stared at my brother. We'd never been close, but this level of deception was new, even for him. Kevin, a lawyer, called me. He said there's a will reading after the service. He said I'm a beneficiary. Kevin's face got even paler. I don't know anything about that. Really. Because he seemed to think Mom had been in contact with me about it. The front door opened, and Mom appeared. She looked at me like I was a door-to-door salesman she didn't want to deal with. Jessica, what are you doing here? I'm here for Dad's memorial service. You know, the one you organized without telling me? I didn't think you'd want to come. You made it pretty clear at the funeral that you couldn't wait to get back to your important job in Seattle. That stung because it wasn't true. I'd left early because I felt unwelcome, not because I didn't care. Mom, Dad's lawyer called me. He said there's a will reading tomorrow. Something flickered across her face. Fear, maybe, or anger. I don't know what you're talking about. David Morrison from Morrison & Associates. He said you told him I'd be there. Mom and Kevin exchanged a look. It was quick, but I caught it. They knew exactly what I was talking about. Well, Mom said finally, since you're here, I suppose you can come. The service is at 2 p.m. at Riverside Chapel. But Jessica, this is a small, intimate gathering. Please don't make a scene. Make a scene. I hadn't said anything beyond asking why I wasn't informed about my own father's memorial service. I'll be there, I said. I drove to a hotel that night, my mind racing. Why would they organize a memorial service without telling me? Why was there a lawyer involved? And why did both Mom and Kevin look like they'd seen a ghost when I mentioned the will reading? I called David Morrison's office and left a voicemail. This is Jessica Chen. I'll be at the memorial service tomorrow, but I need to speak with you beforehand. Can we meet at your office at noon? Then something didn't add up. Saturday morning, I met with David Morrison at his law office. He was a kind-looking man in his 60s with gray hair and wire-rimmed glasses. His office was lined with law books and family photos. Ms. Chen, I'm so glad you could make it. I was starting to worry when I couldn't reach you directly. Mr. Morrison, I need to ask you something. When did my mother first contact you about this memorial service? He checked his notes. Let's see. She called my office on Monday, February 28th. That would be 4 days after your father's funeral. 4 days. Mom had started planning a secret memorial service 4 days after Dad's funeral. And she told you I knew about it? Yes. She said the family had discussed it and everyone was on board. She specifically mentioned that you'd be flying in from Seattle and would need copies of the estate documents. I felt sick. Mr. Morrison, I need to see my father's will. Of course. That's why we're meeting. He pulled out a thick folder. Your father updated his will 6 months ago. It's quite straightforward. He handed me the document, and I started reading. The legal language was dense, but the basic structure was clear. The house went to Mom, but there was a life estate clause that protected her right to live there. The savings accounts and investments were split 3 ways between Mom, Kevin, and me. The life insurance policy, a substantial one, was divided equally between Kevin and me. This seems fair, I said, though something was nagging at me. Yes, your father was very thorough. He wanted to make sure everyone was taken care of. Mr. Morrison, can I ask you something? Did my father ever mention any concerns about his family's financial management? The lawyer paused. I probably shouldn't discuss client confidentialities, but since your father has passed, yes, he did express some concerns. He was worried about your mother's spending habits and your brother's financial stability. That's why he structured the will the way he did. What do you mean? The life insurance policy, for example. It's set up so that the funds go into a trust that pays out over 10 years. He didn't want anyone to receive a large lump sum that might be mismanaged. A trust. Dad had set up a trust to protect the money from being squandered. That sounded exactly like something he'd do. Mr. Morrison, who else has seen this will? Just the immediate family. Your mother and brother came in on Wednesday to review it. Wednesday, 3 days ago. They'd known about the terms of the will for 3 days and hadn't said a word to me. I thanked Mr. Morrison and drove to the memorial service with a growing sense of unease. Why had Mom and Kevin reviewed the will without me? Why the secrecy about the memorial service? And why did I feel like I was walking into some kind of trap? The memorial service was at Riverside Chapel, the same place where we'd held Dad's funeral 3 weeks earlier. But this time, the gathering was much smaller, maybe 20 people, mostly family, and a few of Dad's closest friends. I sat in the back, watching as Kevin gave another speech about Dad's legacy. Mom sat in the front row, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. It all seemed normal enough, except for the fact that I'd been deliberately excluded from the planning. After the service, Mr. Morrison stood up. If the immediate family could stay behind, we'll take care of the will reading now. That's when I noticed something strange. As people filed out, several of them came up to Mom and Kevin to offer condolences, but they looked at me with confusion, like they weren't sure who I was or why I was there. One of Dad's old co-workers, a man named Bill, approached me. "Jessica, right? I'm surprised to see you here." "Why surprised?" "Well, your mother told us you couldn't make it. She said you were too busy with work in Seattle." My stomach dropped. Mom had told people I wasn't coming. She'd told Dad's friends and co-workers that I was too busy to attend my own father's memorial service. I wish I could say that was the end. The will reading took place in a small conference room behind the chapel. It was just me, Mom, Kevin, and Mr. Morrison. The lawyer read through the will again, explaining each provision in detail. When he finished, he looked up at us. "Are there any questions?" Kevin raised his hand like we were in school. "What about Dad's business accounts? I don't see those mentioned." Mr. Morrison checked his notes. "What business accounts?" "Dad had some consulting work on the side. There should be accounts for that." I looked at Kevin sharply. Dad had retired from his accounting firm 2 years ago. I'd never heard anything about consulting work. "I don't have any records of business accounts," Mr. Morrison said. "Just the personal savings and checking accounts listed in the will." Mom spoke up. "Robert mentioned some accounts to me before he died. Maybe they're not part of the estate." "Mrs. Chen, any accounts in your husband's name would be part of the estate unless they had specific beneficiary designations. Do you have account numbers or bank names?" Mom and Kevin exchanged another one of those looks. "We'd have to check his papers at home," Mom said. Something was definitely wrong. I'd spent months helping Dad organize his financial records. There were no mysterious business accounts. So why were Mom and Kevin asking about them? After the will reading, we all walked to the parking lot together. That's when Kevin dropped the bomb. "Jess, Mom and I have been talking. Since you live so far away, we thought it might be easier if we handled Dad's estate locally. You know, dealt with the banks and paperwork and all that." "What do you mean, handle it?" "Just the practical stuff. Closing accounts, transferring funds, dealing with the house. We could send you your portion once everything's settled." I stared at him. "Kevin, I'm a financial analyst. I think I can handle bank paperwork." "Of course you can," Mom interjected. "But why make extra trips when we're right here? It would save you time and money." There it was. They wanted to handle Dad's estate without me. They wanted me to sign over my rights and trust them to send me my inheritance later. "I appreciate the offer," I said carefully, "but I think I'd like to be involved in the process." Mom's face hardened. "Jessica, we're trying to make this easier for everyone. Don't you trust your own family?" The guilt trip. Classic Mom. Make me the bad guy for wanting to be involved in my own father's estate. "It's not about trust," I said. "It's about responsibility. Dad left me as a beneficiary for a reason." Kevin stepped closer. Look, Jess, we all know you're successful and independent. But this is family business. Mom's been through enough without having to coordinate everything with someone who lives across the country. Family business. Like I wasn't family. I'll be staying in town for a few days, I said. I can help with whatever needs to be done. The temperature in that parking lot seemed to drop 10 degrees. Mom and Kevin both stared at me like I'd just announced I was moving back in with them. That's really not necessary, Mom said. I think it is. That's when I realized what this was really about. Monday morning, I showed up at First National Bank, where Dad had kept his accounts for 20 years. I had copies of the death certificate and the will, along with my ID. I figured I'd start by getting a clear picture of Dad's financial situation. The bank manager, a woman named Patricia, was helpful and sympathetic. I'm so sorry for your loss, Ms. Chen. Your father was a wonderful man. He came in here every month like clockwork. Thank you. I'm trying to get information about his account so we can settle the estate. Patricia pulled up Dad's records on her computer. Let's see. He had a checking account, a savings account, and a CD that matured last month. What about the CD? Was it renewed? No, actually. The funds were transferred to checking about 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, right around the time Dad died. Can you tell me the balance in the checking account? Patricia's face changed. I'm sorry, Miss Chen, but there's a problem. The account was closed last Friday. My heart stopped. Closed? By who? According to my records, your mother came in with a death certificate and a power of attorney. She withdrew the full balance and closed the account. How much was withdrawn? Patricia hesitated. I probably shouldn't discuss specific amounts, but it was substantial. Over $200,000. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. Did she say why she was closing the account? She said the family was consolidating assets to make estate management easier. Consolidating assets. Mom had cleaned out Dad's bank accounts and told the bank it was for estate management. But according to the will, those accounts were supposed to be split 3 ways. Patricia, I need to see the power of attorney document she used. I can't show you the original, but I can tell you it was dated 6 months ago and appeared to be properly notarized. 6 months ago, the same time Dad updated his will. But Dad had never mentioned giving Mom power of attorney over his accounts. I drove straight to Mom's house. Her car was in the driveway, and Kevin's truck was there too. I knocked on the door, and this time I didn't wait for an invitation to come in. Mom was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and a stack of papers. Kevin was leaning against the counter, scrolling through his phone. They both looked up when I walked in, and neither looked surprised to see me. Jessica, Mom said, I thought you'd gone back to Seattle. I went to Dad's bank this morning. The papers in front of Mom suddenly seemed very interesting to her. She started shuffling them into a neat pile. The account's been closed, I continued. $200,000 withdrawn last Friday. Kevin put down his phone. Mom had to close the accounts to settle Dad's debts. What debts? Dad didn't have any debts. Medical bills, Mom said without looking up. The cancer treatment was expensive. Dad had excellent insurance. I saw the statements when I was helping him with his paperwork. There were other expenses, Kevin said. Funeral costs, legal fees, things like that. I sat down at the table across from Mom. Show me the receipts. Excuse me? If you spent $200,000 on Dad's debts, show me the receipts. Show me the bills you paid. Mom finally looked up at me, and her expression was pure ice. Jessica, I don't appreciate being interrogated in my own home. Your father left me in charge of his affairs for a reason. Actually, according to the will, he left his accounts to be split between the 3 of us. That money wasn't just yours to spend. The will hasn't been probated yet, Kevin said. Until it is, Mom has the right to manage Dad's assets. I looked back and forth between them. They had an answer for everything. They'd thought this through. "Where's the money now?" I asked. "It's been properly allocated," Mom said. "When the estate is settled, you'll receive your portion." "That's not how this works. The money should have stayed in Dad's accounts until the will was probated." "Jessica," Mom said, her voice taking on that familiar tone of disappointed authority. "Your father trusted me to handle his affairs. If you can't trust me to do what's best for this family, then maybe you don't belong in this family." There it was, the ultimatum. Trust them blindly, or be cut out entirely. I stood up. "I want to see the power of attorney document." "I don't have to show you anything." "Actually, you do. I'm a beneficiary of Dad's estate. I have a legal right to see any documents related to his finances." Mom's face flushed red. "Get out of my house." "Not until I see that power of attorney." Kevin stepped forward. "Jess, you need to leave. Now." I looked at my brother, this man I'd grown up with, and realized I didn't know him at all. "Kevin, do you understand what's happening here? Mom cleaned out Dad's accounts without telling us. That money was supposed to be split between the three of us." "The money is safe," he said. "Mom's handling everything properly." "How do you know? Have you seen where the money went?" Kevin hesitated for just a second, but it was enough. He didn't know either. But that wasn't even the worst part. I left Mom's house and drove straight to David Morrison's law office. He wasn't expecting me, but his secretary squeezed me in between appointments. "Mr. Morrison, I need to ask you about power of attorney documents. Did my father give my mother power of attorney over his financial accounts?" The lawyer pulled out Dad's file. "Let me check. No, I don't see any power of attorney documents in his file. In fact, your father specifically declined to create one when we updated his will." "He declined?" "Yes. He said he wanted all financial decisions to go through the probate process. He was very clear about that." My hands started shaking. "Mr. Morrison, my mother used a power of attorney document to close my father's bank accounts last Friday. She withdrew over $200,000. The lawyer's face went pale. That's very concerning. If your father didn't create a power of attorney through this office, and I was his primary attorney, could she have gotten one somewhere else? It's possible, but unlikely. Your father was very methodical about his legal affairs. He would have mentioned it to me." Mr. T. Morrison leaned back in his chair. "Ms. Chen, I think we need to investigate this immediately. If your mother used a fraudulent power of attorney to access your father's accounts, that's a serious crime." I felt sick. What do I do? First, we need to get copies of all the bank records. Then we need to see this power of attorney document. If it's fraudulent, we'll need to contact the police. The police? Financial elder abuse is a felony, even if the victim has passed away. If your mother forged your father's signature or created false documents, she could face criminal charges. I left the lawyer's office with a list of documents to gather and a sick feeling in my stomach. My own mother might be a criminal. My brother might be helping her cover it up. And my father, who'd always tried to protect me, was gone. I spent the rest of the day at the bank, getting copies of every transaction on Dad's accounts for the past year. Patricia, the bank manager, was helpful, but clearly uncomfortable. "Ms. Chen, I have to ask, do you think there might have been some irregularities with your mother's transactions?" "I'm not sure yet, but I need to see everything." She printed out months of statements, and I sat in my hotel room that night, going through them line by line. What I found made my blood run cold. The power of attorney had been used not just to close the accounts, but to make withdrawals over the past 6 months. Small amounts at first, 500 here, 1,000 there. But in the weeks before Dad died, the amounts had gotten larger. The final withdrawal, made the day before Dad's funeral, was for $50,000. Mom hadn't just cleaned out Dad's accounts after he died. She'd been stealing from him while he was dying. I called Mr. Morrison's emergency line. "I found something," I said when he answered. "She's been taking money from his accounts for months." "How much?" I added up the numbers. "Over $100,000, taken while Dad was still alive." "Ms. Chen, we need to meet first thing tomorrow morning, and I think we need to involve the authorities." Then something didn't add up. Tuesday morning, I met Mr. Morrison at the police station. Detective Sarah Williams specialized in financial crimes, and she listened carefully as I explained the situation. "So your mother used a power of attorney to access your father's accounts, but you believe the document might be fraudulent?" "My father's lawyer says he never created a power of attorney, and the bank records show she's been taking money for months." Detective Williams nodded. "We'll need to see the original power of attorney document. Can you get your mother to provide it?" "I doubt she'll cooperate." "Then we'll get a warrant. But first, let me make some calls to the bank." While Detective Williams worked on getting the bank records, I sat in the waiting area trying to process everything. My mother wasn't just hiding money from me. She was a thief. She'd been stealing from my dying father, and then tried to cover it up by excluding me from the estate process. My phone buzzed with a text from Kevin. "Mom says you're causing trouble at the bank. What's your problem?" I stared at the message. Kevin still thought I was the problem. He had no idea what Mom had really been doing. I texted back. "Did you know Mom has been taking money from Dad's accounts for months?" The response came quickly. She was helping him manage his finances. He couldn't handle it anymore. "Kevin, she took $50,000 the day before his funeral." This time, there was no immediate response. Detective Williams came back with a grim expression. "Ms. Chen, I've been in touch with the bank's fraud department. They've agreed to cooperate with our investigation, but there's something else you need to know." "What?" "The power of attorney document your mother used? The bank has a copy, and they've agreed to let us examine it. But based on what they're telling me, it looks very sophisticated. If it's a forgery, it's a good one." "What does that mean?" "It means your mother either paid someone to create a very convincing fake document, or what? Or your father did create a power of attorney, but not through his regular lawyer. Maybe he was confused near the end, or maybe someone pressured him into signing something he didn't understand." The possibility hit me like a punch to the gut. What if Dad had been manipulated into signing away his financial control? What if Mom had convinced him to give her power of attorney while he was sick and vulnerable? "Detective Williams, is there a way to tell if the signature is genuine?" "We can have it analyzed by a handwriting expert, but that takes time." "How much time?" "Several weeks, maybe months." I felt the walls closing in. Mom had the money. She had legal documents that looked legitimate, and proving fraud could take months. Meanwhile, she could spend or hide every penny of Dad's estate. That's when my phone rang. It was Mr. Morrison. "Ms. Chen, where are you right now?" "At the police station with Detective Williams." "Good. I just got a very interesting phone call from your brother, Kevin. He wants to meet with me this afternoon. He says he has information about your mother's financial activities." My heart started racing. "What kind of information?" He wouldn't say over the phone, but he sounded scared, Ms. Chen. Really scared. I wish I could say that was the end. Kevin met us at Mr. Morrison's office at 3 p.m. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. His hair was messy, his clothes were wrinkled, and his hands were shaking. "Kevin?" I said when he walked in. "What's going on?" "I need to tell you something about Mom, about what she's been doing." He sat down across from me and Mr. Morrison, and for a moment he just stared at his hands. "She's been planning this for months," he said finally. "Maybe longer." "Planning what?" "Taking Dad's money. She knew he was going to leave you part of the inheritance, and she couldn't stand it." She kept saying you didn't deserve anything because you'd abandoned the family. Kevin, I didn't abandon anyone. I moved away for work. I know that now. But Mom, she was obsessed with the idea that you were going to get money that should stay in the family. She said Dad was being manipulated by you. Mr. Morrison leaned forward. Kevin, did you know about the power of attorney? Kevin nodded miserably. She had me witness it. She said Dad wanted to sign it, but his hands were too shaky to write. She guided his hand while he signed. When was this? About 4 months ago. Dad was having a bad day. The chemo made him confused sometimes. Mom said the document was just to help her pay his bills. But it wasn't just for bills, I said. No, she's been taking money out regularly. Small amounts at first so Dad wouldn't notice. But after he died, Kevin's voice broke. She took everything, Jess. All of it. Where's the money now? She opened new accounts, put everything in her name only. She said it was to protect the family assets until the estate was settled. Detective Williams, who'd been quietly taking notes, spoke up. Kevin, are you willing to make a formal statement about what you witnessed? That's why I'm here. I can't let her do this to Jess. It's not right. Over the next 2 hours, Kevin told us everything. How Mom had been planning to exclude me from Dad's estate for months. How she'd convinced Dad to sign the power of attorney by telling him it was just for bill paying. How she'd been systematically draining his accounts while telling him the money was going to medical expenses. The most damning detail was the timeline. Mom had started taking larger amounts right after Dad's last doctor visit, when they'd been told he had only weeks to live. She'd known he was dying and had accelerated her theft accordingly. There's something else, Kevin said. The memorial service? She only organized that because the lawyer called her about the will reading. She was hoping to handle everything quietly, but when Mr. Morrison insisted on reading the will to all the beneficiaries, she had to include you. So the whole memorial service was just cover? Yeah. She told everyone you probably wouldn't come because you were too busy with your career. She was hoping you'd skip it and just sign over your rights to the estate. Detective Williams closed her notebook. Kevin, this information is very helpful. With your testimony and the bank records, we have a strong case for financial elder abuse and fraud. What happens now? I asked. We'll need to freeze any accounts your mother opened with your father's money. Then we'll file charges and let the district attorney's office handle the prosecution. 2 days later, Mom was arrested at her house. Kevin called me from the police station, where he was giving his formal statement. She's furious, he said. She keeps saying you turned the family against each other over money. Kevin, she stole from Dad while he was dying. This isn't about money. It's about what's right. I know. I should have stopped her sooner. I should have called you when I first realized what she was doing. Why didn't you? There was a long pause, because part of me thought she was right. About you not deserving Dad's money because you'd moved away. I was jealous, Jess. You built this successful life, and I was still here, struggling to make ends meet. Kevin, Dad left money to both of us. There was enough for everyone. I know that now. But Mom kept saying you'd gotten enough help from Dad over the years, and it was time for the family money to stay with the family. I am family. Yeah? Kevin said quietly. You are. The legal process took 6 months, but in the end, justice was served. Mom pled guilty to financial elder abuse and fraud. She was sentenced to 18 months in prison and ordered to pay full restitution. Every penny she'd stolen, plus interest and penalties. The money was returned to Dad's estate and distributed according to his will. Kevin and I each received our inheritance, and Mom kept her portion of the legitimate assets. The house remained hers under the life estate provision Dad had included. But that wasn't even the worst part. I'm back in Seattle now, living my life and managing the inheritance Dad left me. I used part of it to pay off my mortgage and invested the rest, just like Dad taught me. The money is growing steadily, and I think he'd be proud of how I'm handling it. Kevin and I talk regularly now. He's getting counseling to deal with the guilt of enabling Mom's theft, and he's working on rebuilding his life. We'll never be best friends, but we're family, and we're trying to make that mean something positive. Mom gets out of prison next year. I don't plan to have a relationship with her. She's never apologized for what she did, and according to Kevin, she still believes she was justified in trying to keep Dad's money away from me. The house sits empty now. Kevin offered to buy it from Mom, but she refused to sell. She'd rather let it sit vacant than let either of her children benefit from it. Even from prison, she's still trying to control us through money. But here's what I learned from all of this. You can't control other people's choices, but you can control your response to them. I could have let Mom's theft destroy my faith in family, or I could have chosen to fight for what was right while protecting my own peace of mind. I chose to fight, not because I needed the money, but because Dad had trusted me to be strong enough to handle whatever came after he was gone. He'd known Mom might try something like this, which is why he'd been so careful about documenting his wishes. The most important thing Dad taught me wasn't about compound interest or financial planning. It was about integrity. Do what's right, he used to say, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Standing up to Mom was the hardest thing I'd ever done, but it was also the right thing, and I can live with that. I still miss Dad every day. I wish he could have seen how his careful planning protected me in the end. I wish he could know that his lessons about financial independence and personal integrity gave me the strength to fight for justice. But mostly, I wish he could see that I turned out okay. That despite all of Mom's predictions about my selfishness and disloyalty, I grew up to be someone who stands up for what's right, even when it costs me. The memorial service Mom organized without me was supposed to be my exclusion from the family. Instead, it became the moment I learned to include myself, to insist on my place at the table, and refuse to be erased from my own father's legacy. If you've been through something like this, if you've been excluded, manipulated, or stolen from by your own family, tell me in the comments. What would you have done? How did you find the strength to fight back? And remember, you have the right to protect yourself, even from family. You have the right to demand honesty, transparency, and respect. And you have the right to walk away from people who try to control you through guilt, manipulation, or theft. Your integrity is worth more than their approval. Trust me on that.